world. It is Luann Pygott again. We are back in my kitchen with my finished baked and somewhat cooled, it's a little warm, but somewhat cooled spice cake. Okay, so now I'm going to make, this is not the frosting that came with it in the recipe, but this is a different recipe for browned butter frosting. So I'm going to flip this around to my pan and show you how to make browned butter frosting. So you, first of all, put your pan on the stove and you're going to turn it on like medium to medium high. And you're going to put in here 1/3 cup of butter. Now it can be cold or room temperature or whatever. I have room temperature butter. It'll just melt that much faster. So what you're going to do, oh, we didn't take off all the paper. Hold on here. Some of this paper wasn't attached to the other paper. That's part of it. 1/3 a cup. That's 5 1/3 tablespoons. We're going to put that in there. So what you have to do is brown the butter. And what that actually does is it browns the fat in the butter. And you have to be a little careful that you don't end up with burned butter. Nobody wants burned butter. So you're basically going to cook it and sizzle it and simmer it until you see little brown specks. And then once it gets to that point, it'll be kind of a, just a toasty looking caramel color. The bits in there, and it'll look like little brown specks. And then you're going to add 3 cups of powdered sugar and 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla and 1 to 2 tablespoons of milk to kind of thin it. And then it'll be kind of a hot, melted. It'll be like a melted frosting, so it'll be a little runny. And then you're going to pour it over the cake, the cooled, somewhat cooled. It's not cold. This cake is still a little warm, but it's not terribly hot. You're just going to pour it over the cake. And then I'm going to turn it up. I'm turning it up to 8 on my numbers here. The faster I can get it to browning, just get on with it here. So you kind of have to I keep doing like this where I can check the bottom, because then you will really be able to see when it starts turning brown. And what this does, now I've heard this described, I don't know how many times, people say it gives it a nutty flavor. Hi, how are you doing? So I guess you can say it gives it a nutty flavor. But the thing is, I don't think it's nutty because I don't like nuts. So if it was a nutty flavor, I wouldn't like it. So it gives it to me, a caramely almost flavor. I don't know how to describe it. I'm turning back down to 7. I don't want to burn it. I don't know how to describe it other than it's really good. It's a toasted butter flavor. So if you want to describe it as nutty, you can. But see how it does this little bit of foam thing going on? And it's very hard to see what it's actually doing under there. So I swirl it around and check it. Because if it turns black, okay, you need to pour that out and start over. It won't be good. So you want to just brown it. And it only browns the fat in the butter. It doesn't brown the liquids. So you will see it have little brown specks at some point. And you just have to keep, swirling it to make sure you can see the bottom of the pan. And you're just going to basically have to wait it out, is what you're doing here. So this is kind of on medium-high. Sounds like popcorn or something a little bit. And it can take a couple of minutes to where it starts browning the butter. And you'll get to where you think, well, if it's not happening, but just keep waiting, it will. It's just got to get to a certain temperature, I think, or a certain point. Okay, it's just barely starting to happen. Probably not where you can see it on video yet, because it's on the other side of the pan. But see that little brown in the pan right there? That's what you're going for. You're going to get some browned bits in the bottom. See, we're getting some more over there. And you want to kind of move it around. I move it around a little bit so it doesn't burn. See that browning? That's what you're doing. That's what you're getting. And it will this icing will have or frosting, it'll have little brown bits. See, we're getting it there. But like I said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it off. You don't want black. You want it to be toasty brown. All right, see how it's like caramely, how it's a little darker looking? You got those little brown bits? That's browned butter, and that's what you want. So now we're going to remove it from the heat and putting it over on this other burner that doesn't have any heat. And you're going to add in your 3 cups of powdered sugar. So this is 2 of the cups, just because that's a 2-cup measurer. And it's going to look like it won't, like it's not going to melt it. But give it a, like it's going to like, oh my goodness, it's so dry, right? Like it's never possibly going to mix in. But it's actually going to melt this sugar. And when it melts the powdered sugar, it will work. You just got to give it a minute. So see how it looks real dry and lumpy, and you think, no way, no way. Is that going to be salvageable? You just keep waiting. Kind of stir it in. And I'm scraping the bottom of the pan because I want to scrape those bits up, and see that's not even all the sugar. I'm going to put in 3 cups. There's the other cup. Put that in. And as it melts, I'm also going to add in 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. So this is a 1/2 teaspoon measure. So let's go ahead and put that in. That'll help it melt. 1, 2, 3. All right, so there's my 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. So let's stir that around a little bit more now. And it's going to take 1 to 2 tablespoons of milk. I know it looks like there's no way that's going to turn into icing, but you just got to have faith with this one. You just do. Let me get it off the spoon because it's real warm and it's starting to melt the sugar. And again, keep scraping those bits off the bottom of your pan because that makes it pretty. Okay, so I'm going to get some milk, and it adds that flavor in there too. So we're going to start with 1 tablespoon of milk. This is just regular milk. Add that in, and if you need a little more milk, you can put more in. So when you get the milk in there, it's really going to start to come together. I'm going to go ahead and do the 2nd tablespoon. I like it a little more on the runny side because it will, once this cools down, it will kind of harden up a little. So you don't have to worry about it being too runny. So I'm taking a spoon, stirring. All right, see how you're starting to get what actually looks like icing now? And if you can see it has how it has these little specks. Can you see the little brown specks here? See those little specks in there? There it is. Looks like little specks of pepper. That's browned butter. Makes it so good. Okay, so now that to me is a little thick. So I'm going to add 1/3 tablespoon. I probably had a little touch too much sugar in there. I think I had my measuring cups mounded a little high. It's okay, so we just put in some more milk. And if you want, you can try to stir this with a whisk. Let me get my whisk. Let's taste this and see. Oh yeah. That's good. Okay, here's my whisk. This will help get any lumps out. You see how it's a little runny like that? You're going to pour it on your cake and it'll fill in the... You don't want to wait too long because it'll start drying out. You can pour it on your cake and it'll kind of take the shape there. But I think that's a good consistency. I'm licking this, by the way. I'm licking that whisk. Don't tell anybody. Mmm. So good. Okay, so let's turn this around. There's our cake. You're just going to take pour on this icing. I get a spreader here. Pour it on your cake. Ooh, look at that. And spread it around and you're done. Doesn't that look good? You want a piece? Ooh, come to lunch tomorrow. Okay, here we go. There. Now I get it all on there, and I'm just going to spread it around. Now this will not make a real thick layer of icing, because this one actually is quite sweet. So you don't want a ton of this on there. You just want a little bit. But I like that because then you're not like over sweetening your cake. So I'm just spreading it around, but you see how it's a little bit runny, but not to where it runs off. But it will dry and be more like a hard icing. I'll turn it around to get this side. So you want to kind of be a little fast with this because it does firm up quite a bit once it dries. It is a little lower here in the middle. I'll just spread it to the edge. Trying to fill the edge in here. And there we have our raisin or prune spice cake, or none of those, you can just make it without. Our spice cake with browned butter frosting. You can put this frosting on other cakes too. It is so good. And easy. I'm trying to even it up here. We're about to the point now where it's going to stop spreading because it's getting harder. It's getting, you know, chilling it up a little bit. Okay, I go. Give it a try.